Now it is my privilege and honor to moderate the Increasing Food Access, our fourth session here at our Hunger Conference. I have with me Angela from It's All About the Kids Foundation, Rodney Missouri from North Park Apostolic, Omar from San Ysidro School District, and Stephanie Alvarez from Catholic Charities Diocese of San Diego. These are four agencies that we wanted to highlight during this 45-minute session because they have made some major pivots during the pandemic crisis, and we want them to talk about their work and what they learned along the process, what they're going to keep, what they might not keep after the pandemic, and how they really change their programs at a moment's notice to fight hunger during the pandemic. So I will start first with Angela. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because she maybe had some pictures to share. You do have access to share your screen if you want, Angela. But tell us all about It's All About the Kids Foundation.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, I want to say thank you to San Diego Food Bank for having this amazing conference. Thank you so much, Shelley, for inviting me to sit on this panel. It's quite an honor to be able to speak. It's been, and at the end too, so it's been quite a day full of some amazing people sharing some really, really important information. So thank you so much. I'm full of all kinds of stuff, so this is great. I'll tell you a little bit about It's All About the Kids Foundation. I am the co-founder and I'm the president of the board. We started in 2004, and for the first 14 years of our charity, we helped other charities. So we impacted the lives of over 40,000 children. Then in 2017, we decided to pick one thing, and that one thing we decided on was food. My past involved WIC and commodity supplemental food at the local and the state level. So I learned how to create food programs back in the 90s. And so I stored up all that information and brought it back to life in 2017. We had a food program that started at King Chavez Prep, slowly grew into a food pantry. And then of course, since COVID, the food pantry is gone. And what we do now is we do pop-up distributions and we deliver through a partnership with DoorDash and the United Way. We have a warehouse in El Cajon. We were adopted by a company called Global Disposal Company. Oh, I'm so nervous talking with all of you. Universal Global and Global Disposal Company. And they took us in, they gave us part of their warehouse. And so we're able to store our non-perishable food there and distribute right out of there. So that has been, that was like amazing that we were able to do that, because during COVID, we moved 4 times to be able to serve the community. Instead of just capping at the amount of people that we served before COVID, which was about 1,300 families, we decided to serve as many families as we could. Unfortunately, that led with us having to move several times because with, as you all know, comes traffic, comes all sorts of other problems. So right now we're doing big pop-up distributions in North County. We love San Diego. With that partnership, they do diapers, we do food. And then of course, like I said, we do a delivery through DoorDash with our partnership with them United Way. We provide fresh produce and also the non-perishable food and the wonderful diapers from the San Diego Food Bank. During the height and the height of last year, we also received food from Feeding San Diego, and we also have a partnership with Fancy Produce and other grocers down at the border that when they have extra produce, they give it to us and we get it out to our families. We have also very strong partnerships with local community groups and also with big companies. They were able to help us all through the pandemic. And we also have a partnership with, we're able to be part of Leah's Pantry and UCSD Urban Food Equity Program. We also are part of San Diego Food Source Alliance. We have a partnership with them. So we were able to form those partnerships during COVID to be able to serve our families better. We also have something that's called a solar pantry. It took 2 years, 3 unions to help us build it. And it is a 20-foot shipping container that is a freestanding refrigeration unit that's solar powered. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick because I wanna show you guys what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. It's freestanding. This is the logos of all of the wonderful people that helped make it happen. It has solar on the roof. And then one side of it is dry, and then the other side has about 14 feet full of space to store fresh produce or all kinds of different food. It also goes to freezing. So this is something that we have because at our pantry that we didn't have storage. We're able to then store all kinds of great food here on a temporary basis and also avoid food waste. So I'm going to stop the share and come back to you folks. During COVID, we have seen an increase. We're now at over 3,800 families in our program. We had to reinvent our app. We have an app in which we check in all of our families. So we had to do that. We've had to continue our text message program, which that's how we communicate with all of our families. And we've learned how to adapt, as you all have. And I commend everyone else who's in this food crazy game that we are in. I sometimes call it the Hunger Games because it is just craziness what we've had to put up with because we all were on the front lines as been said over and over today. And I'm just proud to be part of everyone that's here. I do want to show you a couple of videos so you can see what our food distributions were like. The first, I'm going to share my screen again. Hold on one second. We have, first we had our drive-through that we changed into. So this is just a quick video about that. So that was when we were at King Chavez Prep. And then I want to show you one more video that shows when we had our walk-up distribution. So you can see that. Okay.
And Angela, the sound isn't coming through necessarily on our end, so feel free to talk through the video too.
Right now it's just music playing. At this food distribution, this was our outdoor distribution. We were seeing over 1,000 families in one day. We were going through between 40 to 60,000 pounds of food in one day. The drive-through, we were seeing about 400 to 600 cars because we allow families to pick up for other families. We didn't have a
Save America's Family Farms every decision.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
That's why at Point we trust NetSuite for all our numbers.
So we were able to really meet the needs of the community and serve everyone that came to see us. What our goals for 2022 are that we want to have more of our solar pantries throughout the community because it's a very cost-effective way to store food and not have to have an expensive refrigeration unit inside of your facility. And we also want to kick off our program that we were going to start, but then COVID sidelined it, in which we want to teach our families how to grow vegetables and grow food so that they don't need us as much as they do right now, because we want them to empower our families to do that and to grow the food that they like and the food that they eat. So thank you so much. And that's what It's All About the Kids is all about.
Thanks, Angela. What an incredibly innovative idea that you guys are going to embark on for the introducing growing the food. There was one really concrete question in the chat on your solar unit. Is that 100% solar, or does it also plug into your building for those cloudy, rainy days?
It is 100% solar. So it has batteries inside of it, but is 100% solar. So all we have to turn it on, we put the food inside and we turn it on and it'll go all the way to freezing. We don't store food for long periods of time because we don't believe in that. We believe in get the food out right away. So for example, I put some green and red bell peppers on a Thursday, and we turned it on, and then we opened it back up on Sunday, and they were beautiful as can be. So we're able to store the food, which is fantastic.
Yeah, short-term, but large scale storage. And just like the food bank does, as soon as it comes in, we want it to go out as well. So next introduction is Omar, who's the coordinator of full service community schools at San Ysidro School District. So I will turn it over to him as our second panelist. Once we get all through all four panelist introductions, then we'll bring it into some questions.
Everyone, nice to be here. Shelly, and to everybody attending, thank you so much for allowing San Ysidro to come on and present to all of you. I'm gonna fumble through and try to present my slides here. While I'm doing that, again, my name is Omar Calleros. I am the coordinator of what's called first service community schools, which is wraparound services. I also focus on attendance for the school district and what's called expanded learning programs, which is before and after school programs. So that highlights a little bit of kind of the different hats we wear here in San Ysidro. Now, Shelly, as I'm looking, I can't present.
Let me, okay,
There it is.
Shared it so you can, the green button now.
All right, can you guys see that?
Yep.
Perfect. Again, one thing that COVID forced me to learn is how to be a little bit more computer savvy.
All of us, right?
So what I'm going to share with you today is our experience during this whole pandemic and our goal to meet some equitable needs, and as we assess our community and try to bring those services down to San Ysidro. So this is a beautiful picture I'd love to share. This is one of the times that we were able to bring Mr. Jim down to one of our sites. And we had a great time organizing this with the many different partner agencies that shared this journey with us as well. So our food pantry was not just a food pantry. It was really a way for us to try to address a high need during this pandemic. Just to highlight some points, during COVID, San Ysidro was one of the most impacted communities in the entire county. We had some of the highest unemployment rate. San Ysidro is heavily populated with families that cohabitate, which means there's multi-generational families under one household. And most of the time that household is a small square footage household. We had the highest new cases on a weekly basis by zip code. So we're seeing those numbers increase. And as the county was releasing that information, we saw 92173 had a severe high rate of new cases every week. So that was also an alarming thing. We also had the least amount of resources. So that was something that, as we're hearing from families, we wanted to see we can partner all together and pull our resources to try to see we can help out those families. Again, all these combinations of things really created a panic for some of our families. And then we knew we had an uphill battle, but we knew we had great partnerships and that we can really try to focus on these needs and try to address them as we try to see what we were able and capable to do. Now, put this recipe for success, pun intended, because I wanted to highlight the agencies that were involved. Obviously, the San Diego Food Bank was our main source of partnership. We also had Feeding San Diego, who helped stimulate some of the packages that we had or some other days as well, because we knew that one package a week was not going to be enough for our families, also knowing that we had multi-generational families under one household. We had San Ysidro Health that also contributed to this type of format in offering many different things when it came to the pandemic, with information and other resources to try to maintain healthy. And just a quick caveat, at this point in time, we all didn't know that much about COVID. What we knew was somewhat limited. There was a lot of information coming out on a weekly basis, so we're trying to work with that information as well. So San Ysidro Health was one of those great resources to try to anchor that information so that we had up-to-date information as we work with partner agencies. We had a church, local church 180, and South Bay Community Services, which is now only known as SBCS. These are all great partnerships that contributed to us addressing a food desert during this time. Now, I kind of want to hang back here. This is the slide I'm going to share with all of you for a minute as I kind of talk through our journey when we were trying to address this pandemic. So one of my favorite quotes is, plan your work and work your plan. And if you ever work with me, you would know that I love using quotes. And if another quote I used to like to use is, if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail. So we really had to pull together our things, our resources to see what we're going to do. So these are some of the listed items that I'd like to go through, not just basically for this, but any type of situation or event that we're going to put together. But this was the list of items basically that I went through with our partnerships to try to address the needs, the issues, and our resources. So first and foremost, we wanted to see what our community need was. So we had an assessment of what those needs were. And that information came to us from the different angles, from the local community clinic, Casa Familiar, who works directly with community members, and they have some employees that are promotoras, and they directly communicate it with families in their household. And gathering all this information, we want to make sure that we're addressing the right need. Sometimes we try to address things, or we assume that there's a need, and we start to addressing and put together events, and it might not be addressing the need that the community is communicating to us that they need. So we want to make sure that we have the right assessment, and we have the right glove for the right hand, and we started moving towards our plan utilizing that information. The other thing we wanted to find is a location. So if you've never been to San Ysidro, it's kind of a tight community. It's not easy to drive through the streets. And there are two major highways that merge together and actually break up our community. So, and we were looking into the best location to make it easy for our partners or our community members to access the food. We wanted to make sure that we had the best location. And what ended up happening is there was not one best location. So we had to really create two different events at two different locations. And so this is, again, with information, not just from the district, but also from our partners, as they give us information, and we will pull the information together as to where the community population is at, where the highest needs were at. And we try to really address this in an equitable approach as to where we needed to focus our main resources at. And then the other part, then we start looking at is our resources. So what do we have and what do we need? Because if, for example, on a nice sunny day, if we're going to have our volunteers out there under the hot sun, do we have the shade to keep our volunteers safe? Did we have the facial covering gear? Do we have the gloves, hand sanitizers, tables? If we're going to be a real mobile pantry where we can set up anywhere, did we have all these items readily accessible, or did our partners have these resources? So in those meetings with our partners, we started to pull together a resource to see who had what. One thing is we didn't have the pop-up tents at one of our school sites, and a community member actually stepped up, and they had a side business where they rented out party items like pop-up tents, chairs, and tables, and jumpies. There was no need for jumpies though. But they volunteered and they donated their items. And when it came to a long day of putting these food packages together, that really came in handy. I mean, providing shade for all our volunteers and the tables. So we started pulling together our resources as we started to look to what we needed, how we needed our food pantry to look, and how to make it safe and make it easy flowing so that our community members can drive up and walk up as well. In this slide, you'll see one of our a Google slide or picture of a layout of one of our school sites. So this was part of our planning our work and working that plan of spacing out people that were going to line up. We knew not everybody had a vehicle. We knew we had to make it accessible to both walking, to pedestrians and driving recipients of the food. We knew we had to take traffic into consideration. And then also the separation safety guidelines of exit, where back then, everything had to egress. So people cannot walk back towards the crowd. So we had to make sure that there was the egress flow as well. And this is all information that we had at that time. And these are the safety health guidelines we had to adhere to according to public health and County of Health and Human Services. So we've started to plan our sites just like this. So we planned at 3 different sites, and we had to map it out and really communicate it out to all the partner agencies. So we really had to over communicate what it had to look like. We even had practice runs with staff, with their vehicles to drive through and then walk through as well. And then with our partners, this is the greatest foundation to all this success. And we really had to take in consideration what our partnerships and the collaborative partners, what their strengths were, what resources they had, their comfort level, and their internal policies. Because different agencies had different policies when it came to COVID. And that's also the truth when it comes to a non-COVID time as well. Whether they can afford for some staff to work overtime, whether they're allowed to volunteer or conduct any other type of activities. Knowing your partnership's internal policies is an important aspect when it comes to asking them to partner with you or to take on some additional responsibilities. So all these things really came into play when we were meeting with our partners and asking them to fill in some of the gaps that we knew as a district, as a educational agency, that we couldn't provide. So we had a very open, honest discussion, and we knew what gaps we had to fill in and who was able to do that. And if there were still some unmet challenges, we knew who would be the best to try to address that or ask for additional help. Also, know your limitations, and at the same time, know your ceiling. And what I mean by that is, if you have certain limitations, don't overpromise, because you end up creating a challenging situation where you might not be able to be fully successful, and you create challenges that you might need to address the day of. And there's nothing more stressful than trying to address challenges the day of when it's 5 a.m. and you're setting up everything and you don't have the resources because you've overcommitted. And then knowing your ceiling is, if there's an opportunity to build up, what is that? So try to build up towards that. So know that ceiling when it comes to your partnerships, when it comes to your own agency and such. I see Shelly unmuted. Am I getting a 2-minute mark?
No, keep going.
So know both of those. Those are very important, to know your limitations and know your ceiling. Ask that of your partners as well, to create a successful, not only during a pandemic type of food pantry, but also at the same time, ongoing pantry that can be accessible to your community every month or every week. What are the limitations? What are their ceilings? And then communication as well. I used to work in City Heights, and so communication comes in different forms depending on where you work at. So obviously in City Heights, communication had to be very different because of diverse languages in the area versus in San Isidro. The 2 dominant languages are Spanish and English in that particular order as well. So we knew we had to be able to communicate to our community in the language that's more popular or that's mostly spoken, and in the platforms that they utilize more often. I know a lot of young people use other social media platforms, But in our community, Facebook is still one of the most accessed social media. So knowing that, we knew that we had to highlight more on that platform, that we had to utilize the promotoras, which is a more a family to a trusted agency type of communication. And then we had to also utilize the communication formats from the district and other agencies. So communication is a key to get that information out. There were some times where we thought we were going to have a lot of food left over, and we kept pumping out information. And then all of a sudden we had like a trove of just people coming in to pick up, and then we ran out of food. So we knew, like, learning that with that forward is that we can't communicate way too early. We had to communicate with a little bit anticipation, that we knew that if we communicate too early, families might forget. And so then we had to continually communicate that through and through every single day, for each event. Let's see, we're going to the next one. Those are some of the things I want to highlight. So these pictures coming up are some of the pictures that we took during the event. There we go. So we had at one point about, I would say, 80 volunteers. That was like the highest peak of volunteers with all those agencies that came out. It was really well managed, and it ran really smooth. I think for partnerships, what they like is that if a lot of the foundational work is set, like location, and you set the guidelines and you set the flow, it makes it a lot easier for partnerships to come in and assist you, versus trying to figure out things the day of. So a dry run and really having what the plan is written out and emailed out to your partners so that they understand exactly what needs to be done that day, really helps bring in other partner agencies or bring in other volunteers the day of. These are, again, we had two different lines. We had a drive-through line, we had a walk-through line, and this was the consistent format at the different school sites. So this is a different school site. So we applied the plan over at Sunset over to this school site, Willow, and it worked just as great as well. We had positions that we created. So we created basically like a small description of what those positions were. So we knew if, for example, if I was not accessible, another person that was kind of in the lead, they knew where to put extra volunteers into what position. So we had exact positions as far as if you're a runner, if you're packing food, if you're under traffic control, or whatever it may be, you knew exactly what you were doing, and it was shortly explained, even for people that showed up the day of. And then always invite top leadership to your event, or the top brass. In this picture, you see the food bank CEO, you see the principal of our school, and then one of our school board members. They tend to have the biggest network of people, and they tend to have a lot of experience as well. So when it comes to like addressing needs, if they have a large network, they can really connect. If they see a need at your site, they can connect you to some of those possible solutions or other agencies that might be able to help you out. So this is something that, like, as part of communication and advertising and getting the word out. When people get involved, and if you still have some challenges, you see some solutions come up or being offered. And one of the highlights is that when we started focusing back into in-person hybrid, what we saw is that one of our partners started to take the lead. And I think that shows the tie in the partnerships that was created in collaboration, where they felt comfortable that once we started to focus shifting our focus as a district, they were able to take over the food pantry, and we continue to help each other out. And then something about equity, again, I mentioned equity in the beginning. Ethics and equity and the principles of justice do not change with the calendar. I would also say it does not change also with the pandemic. We still need to focus on equity and food shortages and food deserts when it comes to different communities. And I think we're able to accomplish that with all the partnerships. I saw the hook come out. Shelly, thank you so much for the extra seconds. And I'll hand it over to the next partner.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Omar, for sharing with the audience. And also there was a comment, thank you for sharing with Devin from Miracosta. I remember early on, he was looking for a great partner who had a solid drive-through plan. And I said, you know what, Omar plans his work and works his plan. So go see him and see the drive-through and walk-through that he has created. And I will mention to everyone on the audience, you know that Casey Castillo has stepped in as our interim CEO. Jim Floros has moved on to a national organization called Impact for Change. So doing some national work around refrigeration, solar units, similar to what Angela's building there. And I can already start to see these ties all happening, right? Omar's pictures, I had all those solar panels over the tops of the parking lots. So Angela's team can get out there and build them a solar refrigeration unit and just plug into the solar panels that are already installed out there. So this conference is all about networking and connections. And next up, I want to highlight the work of Rodney Masuria, Associate Pastor and Community Event Coordinator at North Park Apostolic Church. Don't let the name fool you. They are in Lemon Grove, not North Park. So when you go to put in into your Google Maps and it takes you to Lemon Grove, you're going to see Rodney there. So I'll kick it off to Rodney. I do have the video and pictures you sent over. So just cue me in when you want me to show those, Rodney.
Wonderful, wonderful. First and foremost to Omar and Angela, thank you so much for sharing that presentation. It was wonderful. And to Shelley Parks and the entire San Diego Food Bank staff, thank you all for partnering with agencies all over the community to make an impact on where we live and what we do. So we are greatly appreciative to the San Diego Food Bank. Again, my name is Pastor Rodney Masuria. I'm assistant pastor here at North Park Apostolic Church. And our food bank, food bank has been under my leadership for almost about 5 years now. Currently, we are running a super pantry here at our church. We started off the first few years meeting one time per week, or serving rather one time per week. On a Wednesday, and since the pandemic hit, we are now serving 3 times per week. We have about 20 faithful, wonderful volunteer staff members who serve about 150 to 175 families per week. We serve on Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 3 p.m. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we serve in our back bungalow. And on Thursday, we serve out of our huge parking lot right in the front, drive-through pickup service. Our food bank has been a great fulfillment to our church and has made a great impact on our community. Not to mention, it has helped us really carry out our vision and our mission here at our church, which is to love God, love others, serve others, and share the gospel. I can go on and on about what we do, but I do want to show you all a video of exactly what we do on a week-to-week basis here at our church. So, Shelley, take it away.
All right. And Rodney did such an amazing job and his team with this video. It really just showcases the great work that they are doing. Uh-oh. And it is such a great video. Here it is. Oh no, I have had the video open so long that it has went down.
No problem. If you want to share, I have it. I can pull it up too if that's easier.
Okay, perfect. I'll stop sharing and make sure you click that little button in the bottom left that says share sound too, because you have such great music and you and your wife talking on there too.
How do I go back?
Stop share. Then go back to share screen. Share sound.
All right. Give us 1 second here.
I'm glad you got it, Rodney, because I didn't have it.
Happy New Year, everybody. So glad we made it over to 2021. And you know, with everything that's transpired over these last several months, man, it's just a blessing to be safe and healthy. But it's also a blessing to be a blessing. And that's what we've been able to do here at the park. For the last several years, we've been blessed to serve our community through our food bank ministry. Every Wednesday, we give away food, drinks, toiletries, and any other supplies we may have during that week. As mentioned a few months back, we were also blessed to partner up with the San Diego Food Bank and receive funds and supplies to turn our food bank into a super pantry, which means we're now open 3 days a week instead of 1. Now, this was only supposed to be a 6-month project, but because the need is still demanding, and because we have a heart to serve and meet the need, we were able to receive more funds and supplies to continue our super pantry for another 6 months, and we are super excited about it. Sweetie, you mind telling them the details?
Absolutely. So we're now here Tuesday through Thursday from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we serve out of our back bungalow. And on Thursdays, we serve in our very own church parking lot where we offer drive-through and pickup services, as you can see. Our hours of operation and the days that we are available can be located on the 211 information website, the San Diego Food Bank website, and our very own church website.
And you know, our vision here at North Park is to love God, love others, serve others, and share the gospel. And I just want to take a moment to celebrate all of our volunteer staff who have been working diligently to make this vision come to pass. In fact, we've adopted this motivated mission, and it's simply this: we can't do everything, but we can do something. So God bless you, God keep you, and we hope to serve you real soon.
Awesome video, Rodney. Somebody said in the chat, love that blessing, that it is a blessing to be a blessing. That's such a great tagline.
All right, so in a nutshell, that's who we are, and that's what we do. And like we said in the video, we've adopted the motivated mission. We can't do everything, but we can do something.
Thank you so much, Rodney, and the team at North Park Apostolic. Now I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie Alvarez from Catholic Charities Diocese of San Diego. She's the Director of Community Services and helped to pop up their emergency food distribution network early on in the pandemic.
Hi, Shelly. Hi, everyone. Hopefully you're able to see me.
Yep.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me, and I want to thank everybody, Rodney, Angela, Omar, everyone here for sharing. It's been such a great experience. Well, thank you, Shelly, for that introduction. As you said, I'm Stephanie Alvarez from Catholic Charities Diocese of San Diego. Where to start? Let me give you a bit of a context on the agency. We are 101 years old, and it's very funny because Catholic Charities started in San Diego back in 1920 when the pandemic for the Spanish flu was going on, and the Catholic Charities was a response to that pandemic. And now 100 years after, we are now rising to the occasion again with another pandemic, but now with COVID-19. It's very interesting to see how this program has been developing. We had food resources centers, and we wanted to make a more impactful presence in the community to help those in need. So we decided to work with the Diocese of San Diego and just partner with local parishes, that way making a more concrete presence in the community of. So following our mission statement, which goes through Matthew 25, which just says, "For I was hungry and you fed me, for I was thirsty and you gave me a drink, for I was a stranger and you welcomed me." That's our mission statement. We're here to serve everyone. And of course, we wanted to help more during this pandemic. Just to give you a bit of a context, I do want to share a video with you all. So let me see if I can share my screen with y'all. Give me 1 second. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right, wonderful.
And there's no sound on it, Stephanie. So if you want to talk through while it's going.
Okay, of course. Sorry. Let me just start. So this is just images of our food distribution sites and what we've done, not only at our parish, with our partner parishes, but also with our other shelters that we have around the county as well.
Looks like back to the beginning days of Catholic Charities here in San Diego too. And this is such amazing work. Catholic Charities networked with their 21 plus parishes to do home deliveries in a matter of months after March 2020.
Thank you. All right. All right. Well, I hope you liked the video, and it was just to showcase the work that Catholic Charities has done in the community. Just a bit of the, you saw a bit of the context from our the beginning of our day. Sorry, I am nervous for some reason.
You're with friends here, Stephanie. We're all food pantry runners.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. So yeah, so we started very small. We started with a distribution site with one of the parishes. It was a funny story. It was our first day starting with the EFDN, and our team got hit with COVID, and our CEO, Vino Pajano, and our Chief Programs Officer, Faye Espejo, they rose up to the occasion, and we partnered with Cathedral High School, and they were our site where the food got stored and then packed, and our parishes went there to pick up. So what I meant to say with this is that volunteers are the backbone of our emergency food distribution network. As I said, we started with one distributions, and then as the pandemic kept going, we were able to grow to 21 sites. We started with having food at a high school, and then after now, we have 2 warehouses. We have a warehouse in Carlsbad. We currently we just moved into United Way to start a pantry there too. So it's been quite of a ride. We want to thank the San Diego Food Bank for being such a great partner. We also work with Feeding San Diego. And not only do we distribute the food from the EFAP program, but we also have the Fresh Rescue program, which is partnering up with retail partners to rescue that food and give it as a supplement to the families. It's been great to see the program grow. I came in, I wasn't there at the beginning. I came a couple months after, and it was great to see and inspiring to see all of the volunteers that were there. During this time, we've had over 1,200 volunteers helping at our distribution sites. And we have over 23,000 hours worth of time and talent from the volunteers. We try to create a process also thinking of them and the participants for the program. So we did create a process where it was through a drive-through pantry. And we were also thinking of those who are not able to pick up, those who were high risk for the pantry, to go outside and pick up food. So that's why we decided to create also a home delivery system. So it was, we had a huge success with that, especially with elders and those who are high risk. They are always very grateful to be able to receive food through this manner. Another thing that we really appreciated was the partnerships that were built during this time, because without partnerships, we wouldn't be also able to do this. A clear example is in National City. We have a parish, St. Anthony of Padua. We were able to partner up with the city of National City and San Isidro Health. They were such great help for us by helping us getting transportation for the volunteers to be able to distribute the foods via the home delivery system. They helped us with volunteers. They helped us make calls. What I refer with make calls is also that we created a registration process. So through our website, we have a registration portal. There, participants could be, are able to register for the program. If they are not able to register, we were able to help them get food by phone. So if we know that not a lot of people are able to receive or to have access to internet, or just to having issues with technology, so we were able to provide that help as well. Overall, it's been a great experience. We're still expanding, and we look forward to continue to help the community the way that we have been, along with all of you guys. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you so much for highlighting your work, Stephanie. We had some panel questions, but we're near the end of time, and you did not miss anything because our panelists here hit on everything that we wanted to ask in some questions about increased demand and ensuring safety and successes and pivoting. And I think the one thread I saw throughout is that partnership is key, right? Who are those colleges or schools or nonprofits that you can partner with in your community to get volunteers, to get funding. So all of these 4 highlighted agencies have really built some great partnerships over the last 18 months and even before that to leverage during the pandemic. So just closing question for you all. Our title of the conference is Fulfilled. In 30 seconds or less, what are you or your staff doing to remain fulfilled, avoid burnout, and be there to continue fighting hunger to the future? So I'll start with Angela. And we're going to unmute you here.
I'm just talking away, just talking away. I did want to say one thing in my 30 seconds. We also just kicked off our first mini pantry at the Chicano Federation. If any of you would like to talk to me about that, I would love to speak with anyone about that. It's a great program where when the folks come in to get services from the Chicano Federation, they're going to take food home. So we're able to partner, and that's part of that partnership thing. But I think the way that we're able to keep it together at our charity is by love, and also our feeling of family. So for our volunteers, we make sure that they feel loved, that they feel taken care of, that they have dignity. We make sure that we feed them, that they get a hot meal or a cold meal, depending on if it's hot or cold outside. And we also make sure that, like, for example, we got a grant from Union Tribune to buy shoes. So we make sure that all their kids have shoes. That's what we do for our volunteers, to make sure that they feel taken care of, but also that they feel safe. So we make sure and keep all of our practices in place to make sure that everybody feels comfortable to come and volunteer for us. So I think that the most important thing is love, and to make sure that they feel that they're part of our family.
What an amazing message, Angela. Omar, you're up, and Rodney, you're on deck. What keeps you fulfilled, Omar?
I think for us, just seeing the families and then our partners satisfied. I think to moving forward, as always, at the end of every event, let's not forget to celebrate, assess, and then adjust where that's needed, because our focus changes throughout the year. So, or as the year goes on. So to keeping that in mind is to continue to celebrate, stay in communication with our partners, and stay in communication with our community and our kids and our families, and to always try to stay upbeat to their needs and try to address and assess them.
All right, Rodney, what keeps you and your team fulfilled?
Great question. I think what keeps us fulfilled is something that every leader looks at and determines if they're going to continue to move forward in the same vein. Is if you're helping others and your staff is being fulfilled in the process. And I can truly say that our staff has taken ownership on reaching out to our community in this unprecedented times and just doing what we can to put smiles on faces and help people along their journey. And one thing that we have to do that I think is so important is we have to take a pause for the cause every 3, 4, 5 months, whatever the case may be, and honor your volunteers. Those that are on the front line, you know, in the pandemic, they pretty much put their health in jeopardy to help someone else. So make sure we celebrate them, we honor them, we love on them, and continue to cast a vision. And our vision is, again, we can't do everything, but we can do something. We're going to continue to do what we know to do to impact our community.
Rodney, I'm going to emulate all your taglines. I'll take a pause for the cause. I love it.
Do it. You can have it.
Stephanie, on to you. How do you keep the Catholic Charities team fulfilled and yourself fulfilled?
Just being inspired by the volunteers helping throughout all of these sites, as well as feeling inspired by the participants of the program. We hear so many stories about how thankful they are, so that keeps us going. And I echo a lot of the sentiments of Roni, Angela, and Omar in regards to our volunteers. Let's make sure we recognize their hard work and what they do for the community. And that's how we plan to keep on going and keep the program alive.
Thank you guys so much to our panelists.